Good morning, everyone. And I am Carmelis Borlat, your instructor for today's discussion. So, our topic is about planning. And from your previous discussions in topic 2, you have already grouped yourselves into 4 or 5 members, I think, and you've created your own company. Congratulations on that. So, to formally introduce myself, I am um, a licensed civil engineer. I'm Carmel Sabado Borlat and have taken up my master's degree in civil engineering at Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology last 2015. So below are my contact details. If you have any questions after our discussions, you can just email me or contact through my phone number. So let's proceed. Our intended learning outcome are the following. So after the discussion, the students must be able to first identify the different types of plans and purpose of planning. Second, illustrate the steps of making a strategic plans. Third, the students will be able to create a mission, vision statements, and goals of their own theoretical company. Okay, class, the outline of our presentation will be first the definition. So in the definition, we will define the terminologies involved in planning and also the significance and importance of having a plan will be tackled in this part. Second is the planning period. So basically, we have three different planning period. We have the short term, the medium or the intermediate term, and the long-term plan. So this planning period will determine the what type of plan do you need in your organization. So, and lastly, the types of plans. So, there are many kinds of plans. Some of them are have the same meaning, and some of them are different. So, we will discuss and give you examples of the type of plans that you need in your future companies. If managing organization is to be pursued vigorously, like in your own organization, planning will constitute the most important activity. So there is a saying that um, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Diba? So managers who plan are afforded with the opportunity to carefully analyze situations which directly contribute to effective decision making. So the effectivity or the effectiveness of the decision making that you're about to make will be dependent upon how you carefully create or how you carefully analyze your plans. The engineer manager, you in the future, regardless of your management level, will have to devote some of his time to planning. So the higher the management level the engineer manager is in, the more sophisticated his planning activity should be. So why and how this is, so shall be discussed in the next slides. Okay? Here's the question. Where and how do you see yourself 5 years from now? Okay, definition of planning. But before that, um, there are many instances when managers are overwhelmed by various activities which are at times be clouding his judgment. So when the time comes that you will be engineers and managers of your own firm, there are many times or almost every day that you will be confused with all the things happening simultaneously. So, and during that time, you will lose the sight of the more important concerns. So that is why you need to plan. You need to plan ahead. And also, to minimize the mistakes in decision making, planning is undertaken. So as an example, um, I asked you earlier, what and how do you see yourself 5 years from now? It's very important to have a plan, right? Because your plan will dictate your actions today. So if you plan to have your own firm in the near future, then you must do what? So you have your own step-by-step procedure that you need to do in order to achieve your goal, in order to achieve your plan, right? So maybe one of those steps that you have to undertake is that you pass this subject, then you pass the board exam, you pass your the program, you will graduate your program, you pass the board exam, and then that's it. So when you will be licensed engineer someday, then that's the time that you make your own firm. Or if you want to be employed, then apply at your desired positions. So that is the reason why you need to plan, why you need to have goals, and why you need to have objectives or the step-by-step procedure in order to achieve your goal. So the definition of planning basically is it is the most fundamental and basic of all management functions. So everyone in the management level should know how to plan. Includes a rational approach in selecting and achieving goals and objectives and deciding on the actions to achieve them. So as a rational approach, that is to know which way or which approach is the most viable in order for you to achieve your goals. So the question is how to select those objectives, how to select those steps nga makadirect sa inyo ha para ma-reach ninyo ang inyong goals, right? It also involves looking ahead and preparing for the future. Thus, nothing can be done without a plan. As the saying goes by, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So, that's it. Planning bridges the gap between where you are right now to where you want to go in the future. So it is also important to point out that planning and controlling goes hand in hand. As shown in the figure, if you have plans, then you need to plan, to make the step-by-step procedure on how to attain your plan, achieve your plans, and then you implement it. Controlling will tell you that you are going where you should go. So if controlling is also mean that you compare to your achievement to your plans, and if it's not in line with your the achievement or the attainment is not in line with your plans, then you have your corrective action. And if after correcting the steps or after applying corrections, then you either make a new plan or you implement the existing plan. So as you can see, it's always a cycle for planning and controlling so that your plans can be realized. So our second topic is about the planning period. There are three planning periods to be considered. The first one is the short run planning or the short-term planning. So it covers for a period of about 6 to 12 months, right? So for example, of a short plan is that as a student, you plan to pass this exam, this subject, our coming exams, right? So it's a short-term plan. So what you're gonna do in order to pass this program or this subject, but you have to study, you have to make assignments on time, you have to submit the requirements, the projects, and everything. So that's an example of a short-term plan. The second, intermediate range plans are your intermediate term. It ranges from 1 to 5 years. some of these plans are called strategic plans, others are operational plans. For a company, that's an example, is an operational plan, financial plans, because basically those plans involve um, a year or 5 years at the maximum to implement it. So that is why you have your annual financial plans, right? You have your annual operational plans. So that's an intermediate range plan. So in your case, intermediate plans can be your plan to, right now your third year or fourth year student. So intermediate plan can be the plan to pass the board exam, or your plan to graduate on time. Yeah, so it's an example. So basically, there's a difference between the steps that you need to do in order to fulfill the short-term plan and the intermediate term plan. So intermediate is more complicated compared to short-term, because not only you have to plan for the a few months, right? So intermediate plan also includes your annual financial plans, annual operational plans for the next 5 years, diba? So it's more complicated and it's more sophisticated compared to your short-term plan. And lastly, the third type of planning period is the long-term plans. So it ranges from 5 years, 10 years, to even 20 years. For construction companies, for universities like the Caraga State University, we have a long-term plan, and this is the mission and vision of the university. Some of these are very familiar with the mission and vision statements of our university. So that is an example of a long-term plan. Okay? How long should the planning period be? So the length of the period for which your company plan can vary depending on, first, the type of the enterprise. Second, the kind of the industry you are in. Third, the production cycle of your products. Fourth, the quality of managerial practice. And fifth, there are many other factors to consider before making a decision. So